Win tricks and control areas of town in this area enclosure trick-taking game, Top of Hinode Town. A hook of trick-taking cats in area enclosure might sound a little familiar, but this one is different. I'm Take. I'm a game designer and a reviewer from G. And on this channel, I review games from the lens of a product designer. If you like what I do, please subscribe, share the video, and comment down below. Top of Hinode Town caught my attention because it is quite similar on the outlook as the very successful Cat in the Box Deluxe Edition by Bezier Games. It's also a trick-taking game like my own designs, Pikoko and Throne. However, while it's trick-taking in cats and area enclosure, the similarities end there with Cat in the Box. It's interesting how similar games can still feel so different. The game is designed by Kuro and published by Manifest Destiny. In Top of Hinode Town, players will be playing one hand of cards, instead of many like in Cat in the Box. Also, players can play whatever they want. May Follow is not a new thing in trick-taking. Stick-on or Stick-'em has done it to a great effect in the past. Players start the game by building Hinode Town itself. A 3x4 grid is built, with different areas that sometimes you want to win and sometimes you don't. A separate side area is a bonus for scoring later. Players are dealt cards in 3 suits, numbered 1 to 13. In addition to 9 cards, players are also given a player and tokens for that color. These tokens are used to control the areas and part of the area enclosure of the game. The game is only going to last 9 tricks, and how the trick starts is the start player is going to pick the area that players are fighting over. The color of the area dictates a little bit of the lead of the suit in the game. But of course the game is May Follow, so players can play whatever they want. And the winner of the trick is whoever plays the highest of the lead suit. After a trick has been played, the players will rank all of the players' strengths in the cards. The strongest is the highest on suit, and then you rank all the players until you're off suit, and then it's the highest off suit. And if there's a tie, it's the first play. The number 1 player will put one of their pawns on the first spot, and the number 2 player will put their pawn on the second spot. Then, with the player at 4th, they'll pick any of the 3 cubes they want. And then finally, the 3rd player will take the last 2 cubes. The number 1 player will then pick a different area and lead to the next trick. Play like this continues for all 9 tricks. The cubes in the game have different abilities. The red cube can be placed on any card to change it to the rank indicated at the bottom of the card. So this 1 can now become a 13. The rank on the bottom is always 14 minus the current rank. The blue cube turns any card into the must follow suit. So this blue card here can turn into yellow, and the yellow cube is used for endgame scoring. Each player also gets a 14, which is the strongest card in the game. And after a player plays their 14 into the trick, no other player can play one. It's considered the strongest in the lead suit and wins a trick. At the end game scoring, players will check all the points next to their pawns on the map. They'll also get bonus scoring for the area set aside at the start, earning them 1 point for each similar color. Next, players will look for their largest orthogonal grouping, and they'll get 2 points for each marker in the group. Next, the player who last played a hero will win 3 points. If they don't play a hero, no points at all. And finally, treasure points. Players will gain 1 point for each 2 yellow cubes they collected. Onboarding refers to the process of getting new users onto the product and getting them started, with the goal of getting them into committed fans. In the board gaming space, the onboarding often starts with the outward presentation of the game. Top of Hinode Town has an evocative cover of a battle, of a fight over a town. Artist Kokuzu has a wonderful package that looks a little anime. The game says 14+, but the art style skews a little younger. The next part of onboarding is the rulebook. In this one, the only con is it's all in Japanese, and I don't speak Japanese. But translations of the rulebook make sense. The game's flow and trick play and end game scoring and resolution all are clean and fluid. The player aids make sense to me with the icons, even though a lot of the text is in Japanese. What is tough is the graphic design on the cards. No suit, just having to use the back of the cards. Also, the fact that the top left of the card is the rank, but then in the bottom right is the cube improvement rank makes it pretty confusing for players. Also, the areas don't have suits on them, making it hard and not colorblind friendly. The trick play with the May Follow makes sense in the game. It gives players the agency to win or lose if they want to. Also, winning and losing isn't bad in the game. Sometimes there's areas that are negative, and sometimes you really want those cubes to score for endgame scoring or give you the powers. Every player getting a 14 and incentivizing to use them in the game creates a really fun push your luck dilemma by players trying to use it as late as possible. The hand only being 9 tricks feels about right if the game feels a little bit short, but the fact that it's May Follow and winning and losing are both good doesn't mean players can quite get a bad hand. The unfortunate thing is the fact that players are only limited to using 1 power or 1 cube during their play. They can't use a red and a blue cube. I feel like this is limiting. Why block players who have been losing and getting 3rd and 4th from getting more powers when they want it to be? It feels strangely restrictive. I rate games with my own engagement ladder system. Games are awarded 0 to 3 different points in 5 different categories, and each point scored climbs the game up the ladder. A score of 10 or above climbs the ladder and indicates a real favorite with me. For thematic aversion, the game scores 1. Sometimes theme in trick-taking games isn't very important. And while that is mostly true in Top of Hinode Town, the area enclosure part of the game is helped by the theme of cats running around trying to find areas. The trick play itself and the may follow don't really feed into the theme. However, the hero card, being not only the strongest, but also more points when you come in to save the day, makes sense. Top of Hinode Town is highly interactive. Players are always playing cards constantly to the trick. And since the winner and the loser win the trick, there's always a good interaction between every trick. None of them feel boring or feel meaningless. Since the winner of the trick is such a big deal and they get to pick where the next place they fight over is, players are always invested on how strong their card is and if it does win. The challenge and the stress of the game are 2. Unlike other trick takers that are must follow, since it's may follow, you don't really have the puzzle of the hand and are able to play whatever you need, especially when the cubes are open information. You can understand which powers players can use in a game, though it is challenging to win certain areas and also know just the right time to use your hero card. For feedback, I give it a 3. In every trick, players will be getting a reward back depending on how well they ranked. This is a constant feedback loop. Players are either getting points and the area enclosure, or they're getting cubes to help later tricks or for points in the endgame score. Third player gets 2 cubes, but fourth, even though they only get 1 cube, they get to pick first. It's a well done ranking system that makes every rank powerful for the players, especially depending on their situation. Top of Hinode Town gives players a lot of agency. Trick-taking games can live or die on that agency depending on what the players want to do. And since every rank matters, whether you're first, second, or third, the game does a good job of giving players enough control, using cubes, or using their hero card at the right time. Players usually have the option to get something out of the trick, and hopefully something they want. For meaningful choices, I give it a 2. Most of the time, players know roughly how strong a card is in their hand, but often the game is pretty tactical, depending on what players play. The may follow card play and the cubes and the hero usage allow players a lot of choices in the game. However, it's very tactical, and often just being off by 1 rank, by moving maybe from 2nd rank to 3rd rank, where you're getting cubes now, can make the players feel a little bit off in a game with so much gray area. The overall score of 10 means it's an engaging game, and one I quite like. The agency in the game, with the may follow and the cubes, is very nice. I think some of the restrictions here can annoy players a little bit, but overall it's a well-constructed game. As usual, I'm going to plot the game on my ideas versus execution matrix. The most successful commercial products marry an ingenious idea with excellent execution. The idea behind Top of Hinode Town is welcome. New trick takers are always interesting, and while this one isn't the most original, with area enclosure and trick taking, it still gives players a lot to do. The fact that it wants anyone in the trick to get a reward with a may follow and card manipulation with the cubes and also the hero card does a good job of giving players enough agency in the trick play. This execution in the gameplay is well done. The production itself has some flaws, but not too much to mar any of the whole package. The game sits in a yellow-green area of the grid. Very well done, if not the most revolutionary. I'd recommend Top of Hinode Town to trick-taking fans who want a good amount of agency in their trick play, but also interesting interactions between the players and the board. Moving on to my design checklist, is the game innovative? Well, no, not quite. I think the fact that it gives a reward to everyone in the trick is interesting. I haven't seen that too often. But the may follow, the area enclosure, and kind of the balancing of points has been seen before. However, I will say, it's done very well. And now on to the next part of the checklist. Is there a need for a product like this? I believe so. Oftentimes players haven't played a may follow trick-taking game that gives a lot of rewards, a lot of agency, and this one does a great job of letting the players do mostly what they want to do. Will the product grow with its user? Well, a little bit. There are additional powers when you flip the card that each character has that gives more life and more options to players when they get the game kind of under their belt and they want a little bit more. So there's an advanced play to the game. And I think that's a well done addition that lets players really dive the depths of the game. Thanks for watching, and sorry for the accent dipping in and out. And if you want to watch one of my favorite videos of all time, follow the link.